So in the Orton-Gillingham method, the lesson is set up to make it as multisensory as possible. And so we have different portions to the lesson. The first is the visual drill. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what the visual drill does for the student. So the visual drill includes these cards that have the letters of the language on them. They're called graphemes because they are drawn symbols. And then we ask the student to give us the phoneme, which is the sound that those symbols make. Some of them will be blends where there's two sounds put together. Some of them will be individual phonemes where it's just one letter or one sound. And some of them will be, let me find it. Did you put some digraphs in here?
Yes, there should be a couple anyway.
A digraph where two letters or two symbols put together make one sound. Okay? When a child goes through this deck of sound cards, often they make mistakes. And so we want to use the multisensory techniques that we know to help them correct those mistakes on their own. So one of the ways we do it is to have them trace it when they make an error, and that is a tactile way to help correct their mistakes. So go ahead and trace that. And she will make the sound auditorily, so there's muscle memory in your mouth as you're saying f, and you're hearing the f sound as well as seeing the symbol that makes the f sound, and that's what makes it multisensory.
And with the tracing, you may not ever work with a student like this, but chances are you will. Sometimes they'll like to do so we really need them to deliberately trace it, and form the letter correctly. And as Cindy said, to give the sound as they're doing that, because we're trying to make the sound symbol correspondence. And then do we just want to go over maybe a few of the ones that we have gestures for, or keywords for? We won't do the the entire deck by any means. This is something that sometimes does help the kids if they have trouble with the B and the D. So I will just color in with either blue or black pen, since both blue and black begin with B. And so a lot of times that helps the kids to be able to differentiate quickly, because the drill, as Cindy mentioned, we do it at the start of every lesson, and we do want it to become very quick, very automatic, but still maintain that accuracy. And so ideally, a visual drill should only be about 2 to 3 minutes. So you're not going to be doing the entire deck of cards every single time, because it would just simply take too long.
Yes, and by drawing the black or the blue in there, she's giving a visual cue to the visual drill sound card. You can also use keywords. For example, if a student makes an error on this one of saying "ter" instead of "tr," you can give them the keyword of tree. Let's see. Let's say you get to a card and the kid just says the total wrong sound. So perhaps they say "kch" for this, or "k." This is where you would have this child trace it. You could give them a keyword like chin, have them point to their chin as they say ch. Please say ch as you trace. Ch. Ch. Then it's important to put the card back in the deck so that they can come back to it again, and it helps reinforce their memory. What else should we do?
Well, if we want to, so EA does make several sounds, but we definitely want them starting with the most common pronunciation of that. So, for instance, if the student would tell me we want to say, yes, it does say but its more common sound is E. And then again, getting back to the keywords, sometimes we also have key phrases like eat bread. So that the student would have both sounds of E and E. And you can feel free to write things, right on the card. And the nice thing is you can cover it up when, you think the student has mastered it and then you can just easily reveal it. Because we're not trying to trick them or test them, so it's perfectly fine to have those, little helpful hints readily available.
The other thing important to remember about the visual drill is you don't want to do the whole deck. So pick certain focus sounds that you're going to work on through the rest of the Orton-Gillingham lesson and use those in your visual drill.
Yeah, I just don't know if there are any others that we want to mention. Oh, for keyword for the short U, if you just have them do up,
And then point
put
up.
the arrow, yeah. Oh, we should do for As a little more difficult. I usually tell them, pretend you're going to take a bite out of a nice juicy apple. So I don't know if you have anything
Right, that
else
works great because it has a keyword in it. It has them doing an action, but it also helps them form their mouth in the ah sound. As you're taking the bite of an apple, the form of your mouth is actually making that ah sound.
And the short vowels are easily confused. And again, even though, this letter does say a and a and we definitely want them knowing because for the blending and the reading of the words when they are first starting out, they will primarily be doing the short vowel sound.
Mm-hmm.